What if I told you that the next big Indian export is not software, not even textiles, or for that matter, not even pharmaceuticals, but it is going to be brands? Yes, you did hear me right. Brands. India has always been a factory, the back office, the silent producer of the world. But in the 21st century, it is no longer enough to simply remain a supplier. The companies that win are the ones that own the story, the perception, and the values. And that's what branding does to your business. Namaskar and welcome to India Grow Global, the video series designed for Indian owners and CMOs in B2B, B2C, service industries, and contract manufacturing. Those who want to build global ready brands. I'm Amit Chandraa and I have spent over 3.5 decades in strategic branding and marketing communications with some of the biggest multinational companies across 15 sectors. I've seen firsthand what works in highly competitive global markets and why some companies rise while others fade into the price wars. The mission behind India Grow Global is rather simple: to help Indian businesses, be it in B2B, B2C, service industries, or even contract manufacturers, stop being just suppliers and start becoming power brands recognized and respected the world over. So let's dive right straight in, because what we are going to talk about today might just change the way you think about your business, about your markets, and even about your future. Here's the truth: India is admired for its production power, but rarely for its branding power. We produce the cotton, and the global apparel giants take the margins. We manufacture the generic drugs, but Western pharmaceutical brands pocket the premium. We grow the finest spices and teas, but the foreign labels dominate the high shelves in places like London, New York, and even Tokyo. Wonder why this is happening? Because we have been focusing almost exclusively on cost and supply and not on brand and perception. Let me share a striking comparison. South Korea got their independence in 1949, 2 years after India. It is a country of just 50 million people, less than half of Uttar Pradesh, and yet Samsung, Hyundai, and LG are household names across continents. Their electronics, cars, and appliances are not just products, they're symbols of trust, quality, and aspiration. Japan did the same thing in 1970s and 80s. They built brands like Sony, Toyota, Honda, Panasonic, and so many more. China is doing it right now with Huawei, Xiaomi, Shein, TikTok, and several others. Whereas India, we remain largely the producers for others. Do you know what percentage of India's GDP goes into advertising and branding? Barely 0.4%. Now compare that to the United States at over 1.2%, or even similar economies like South Korea at nearly 1%. Now that gap tells the story. We produce more than so many of them, but invest less in building global recognition. The big challenge is this: Indian businesses are too often caught in the trap of price-based selling. They compete on price, lower their margins, chase volumes, and live in fear of the next tariff, the next competitor, or the next demand slump. But here's the punchline: branding is what lets you step out of the race to the bottom. It's what gives you the pricing power. It's what makes customers choose you, even if you are not the cheapest. Without branding, you are replaceable. Whereas with branding, you are memorable. You have to choose how you want to be seen and remembered. Let me illustrate this with one of my favorite paradoxes. I call it the Indian tea paradox. Now, Darjeeling and Assam are legendary names in the world of tea. Connoisseurs across the globe recognize them, and yet, when you walk into a London supermarket or a cafe in New York, the premium shelf is owned by brands like Twinings, Tetley, or even Harrods. Think about it. The tea is grown in India, harvested by Indian farmers, exported by Indian companies, But the value, the premium margins are captured abroad. Why? Because they built the brand. They packaged Indian tea as a luxury, a lifestyle, an experience. They didn't just sell tea leaves, they sold heritage, sophistication, and trust. We grow it, they brand it, they profit from it, and that is a paradox we must break. Now, let me step into your shoes as a business owner or as a CMO. And you may be asking, Amit, do I really need branding if my product is already selling? Well, here's my answer yes, because selling and scaling are not the same thing. Anyone can sell once, but branding ensures repeat orders, customer loyalty, and global recognition. Another question you may have is, but isn't branding only for consumer facing companies? I'm a B2B exporter. My buyers are distributors, not end consumers. Well, that's a fair concern, but here's the reality. Even in B2B, perceptions matter. Businesses choose partners they can trust long term. They want suppliers who give them confidence, who make their jobs of selling easier. If your product is branded well, packaged consistently, and tells a compelling story, you instantly stand out in a crowded supplier list. And the third big question is, branding sounds expensive. Can I afford it? The better question is, can you afford not to brand? Because without branding, you are constantly at the mercy of price negotiations. Whereas with branding, you shift the conversation from how cheap can you sell to why your product is worth more. Branding is not cost, it's an investment in your pricing power, your margins, and your future growth. Let's look at FabIndia. Having started as a small export house in the 1960s, FabIndia could have remained just another textile supplier. Whereas, instead, what they did was they built a brand around Indian heritage, handlooms, and authenticity. Today, it is not just a shop, it is an experience. Right from foreign tourists, NRIs, urban Indians, they all proudly buy into FabIndia because it sells a lifestyle, not just clothes. Another example is Ayurveda. There is Patanjali, Himalaya, and Forest Essentials. They all sell Ayurvedic products, but look at how different their brand positions are. Patanjali is affordability and mass appeal, whereas Himalaya is everyday healthcare trust, and Forest Essentials is luxury Ayurveda with global premium pricing. Same ancient science, very different brand strategies, and three very different markets as well. The point? Well, the point is that branding is what transforms the same turmeric, the same ashwagandha into products that can range from rupees 100 to rupees 2000, depending on perceptions. Now, here's the exciting part. The global market is moving in our favor. India's exports crossed $770 billion in 2024-25, and government is targeting export volumes to cross $2 trillion by 2030. Now that's a huge opportunity, but only if we brand smartly. We also have a massive advantage in our diaspora. Over 32 million Indians live abroad, the largest diaspora in the world. And what do? They create demand. They influence tastes. They act as ambassadors of Indian products, right from snacks to saris to softwares. And the world's appetite is shifting. People want organic, sustainable, wellness driven, artisanal, and authentic products. Now, these are exactly where India has a natural strength, isn't it? Right from Ayurveda to handlooms, from spices to IT services, we have unique differentiation. Look at Indian snacks in the US and UK. Today, Haldiram's and Bikanerwala are now competing head to head with Western packaged snack giants. Why? Because they didn't just export namkeen, they built a global brand identity. The tide is turning, and we must ride the new tide. So, how do you get started? Well, let me give you 5 practical tips. Tip number one, define your brand story beyond product specs. Machine part is not just steel and precision, it is reliability, safety, and performance. A fabric is not just cloth, it is a culture, identity, and sustainability, right? Tip number two, leverage India's heritage, but present it in a global language. Don't make it look outdated. Ayurveda can be packaged as premium wellness. Handicrafts can be positioned as sustainable luxury. Tip number three, go digital first. Today, your first impression is not your product sample, it is your website, your social media, your SEO visibility. If you are invisible online, you are invisible in the global market. Tip number four, build trust with certifications, packaging consistency, and transparent communication. A European buyer wants to see that you follow standards, and a consumer abroad wants to trust your label. Tip number five, don't do it all yourself. Branding requires strategy, design, storytelling, and execution. Partner with professionals who understand global markets and can position you right from the start. If you're building a business today, you cannot ignore branding and marketing. And these are not just some kind of buzzwords, they are essential pillars in today's competitive market. Branding goes way beyond just a logo or some social media posts. It involves strategy, design, storytelling, and solid execution. Having worked as a strategist for so many years, I know firsthand how building a strong brand and go to market strategy can be fairly overwhelming. That's why my advice is simple, don't go it alone. If you really want to grow and scale, consider working with professionals who can help you build a solid core marketing strategy. Random content and short term lead generation might give you some quick wins, but they won't help you scale. What you really need is a clear, well thought out branding and marketing strategy. Think of your brand strategy as the soul of your business. It's what sets you apart in the market. It is your unique value, your story, and how you connect with your ideal customers. At Be Ahead, we create tailored strategies for businesses like yours. If you'd like our help, just click the free strategy call link in the description below. We'd love to support you. Also, don't forget to grab your copy of my free ebook, The Brand Strategy Blueprint: How Smart Manufacturers Become Global Export Champions. The download link is given in the description below. It's packed with actionable insights. And there's more. I've also included a free short training video on branding for entrepreneurs. It's practical, it's useful, and it's completely free. So go ahead, watch it. I'm sure it will give you a clear direction for your brand. And thanks for watching in advance. And remember, your brand is your business's greatest asset. So do build it right. Let me leave you with this thought. Strategic branding is not a luxury. It is your passport to global markets. It is what will decide whether you remain a low margin supplier or become a respected global brand. If you're ready to step out of your supplier shadows and build a global ready Indian brand, then let's talk. I've spent 3.5 decades helping brands across 15 sectors win against their toughest global competition. Now I want to see Indian businesses rise as global power brands, and that is the mission of India Grow Global. If you're serious about taking your brand global, don't wait. Click the link in the description below and book your free strategy call with me. And let's craft your roadmap together. And if you found value in today's episode, then please do hit like, subscribe, and share this with the business owners or your friends who need to hear it. Because India's rise as a brand superpower starts with us, and it starts with you. Until next week, India, grow global. Be seen, be remembered, and be ahead. Jai Hind.